So something happened on our last stream, our last live stream, that left us all completely stunned. Some viewers thought that one player was completely out of line for what they did, and others thought that the player who rage quit was justified.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway, shall we get going?
I think
boys
so.
And girls? Yeah.
Let's get going. Let's do a countdown.
Anyway, hey, Zods, I think we've got a game on.
I think we've got a game on, folks. How about we start the countdown? Let's do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go.
Let's go.
No bans, by the way. Whatever.
No bans,
Just pick
no
whatever
bans.
you like.
Except
No
the
bans,
sprite.
no bans.
I don't want to see a f***ing sprite in this game. Not after the shit I got.
Please don't take the sprite, you idiots. Come on, please. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Don't you dare,
right,
Glenn.
let me have a look. So today, I want to explain what exactly happened using some of the footage from that live stream. Apologise for my part in it. And let's talk about Talisman. And why it can create these weird social situations better than almost any other game out there. Let's dive in, shall we? A nice little bit of whiskey just to help calm my nerves. Oh, this is so messy. Ooh! Okay, first things first, I want to explain a little bit about the game. If you've not visited the Tavern before, Lord Zods and I, Glen1N, normally run a game almost every week, maybe every other week, live on stream as the second part of our monster live stream session, normally lasting about 4 hours. The game we try to fit in the last couple of hours, maybe 2.5 hours max. This game was going on for a very long time, but let's not get there yet. Let's talk about who joined us for the game. First and foremost, there was both Lord Zods and I, the hosts of the Talisman Tavern. I set up the game. It was set up to be quite a deadly game with only a few parts of the expansions available. I would say it was quite a highly skilled game, game for highly experienced players would definitely get a lot more out of it than, say, a beginner would probably become very confused very quickly. But I'm getting away from the topic. It's worthwhile saying, because you're going to see the footage, we're only going to mention the players by their Talisman usernames. Obviously, Glen1N, Lord Zods. We have mrozekchill, or we'll call Rosechill from now on. Very hard to pronounce your name, by the way. SithLord and ToothlessNightFury. All those three players were actually, have been in our live stream chat from time to time, and I think they were all probably in the live stream chat on the evening of this particular game and this particular event. And everything started out great. Everybody was having fun. Obviously, we had two super-powered characters. We had the Warlock and we had the Prophetess. Basically, what we all considered to be easy mode.
Oh, okay.
Of course, we've got a Warlock and a Prophetess. Of course.
Jesus fucking
Wow.
Christ. Easy
Look
mode
at you.
alert. Easy mode.
Easy mode. But we decided that we weren't going to have any banned characters. I think we might have said we were going to ban the Alchemist. Maybe we don't. I tend not to ban characters during my games. I would rather the game just flow naturally. The game, like I said, was playing incredibly fun. I would like to maybe give you a bit more of my perspective of what was happening during the game. I was just having one of those really bad games where almost all of my card pools and dice rolls were slamming me left, right, and center. I was the Ogre Chieftain. I had a very specific role to play in the game, and unfortunately, the game was not allowing me to do that.
Toad. And do you know what? I'd rather die as a toad than die with these useless dice rolls like keep on getting. So let's go for it.
Do it.
Okay, again, spell I can't use. Well done.
Do it.
Congratulations. It's just as bad.
So I was fluctuating quite freely between having only 1 life and 2 lives left. Once my lives started coming down considerably faster than the others. I wasn't the first to leave. Rosechill, unfortunately, was the first to leave the game. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry, we're going to be talking about the game. I definitely suggest that you go off and watch the full live stream, get your own thoughts and opinions on it. But just to let you know, Rosechill played a good game, but unfortunately just got hammered by the bad luck and the bad rolls, just like I was, and also just like Lord Zod was too. The two people who were coming out on top were, not surprisingly, the spell spamming Warlock and Prophetess who do every single spell that was in the game, and also spell spamming. We get this. We still refuse to lock people out from choosing whatever characters that they want, because what's the point? The game's full of these beautiful, these complex, highly powerful, sometimes OP characters, and we just have to build better tactics and strategies around them. Of course, there are certain characters which can be abused, and I know quite a lot of the more advanced players in the community of Talisman, online in particular, tend to ban certain character types. We'll talk about that another time. So what was happening was, I've played with these players several times in the past, same as Lord Zod's. However, after Rosechill had been killed, after I had been killed, my character, and Lord Zod's was reduced down to 1 life, he managed to land on an event, demigod, which allowed him to be able to pluck a spell from the spell deck. I suggested that he plucked healing out, which is, I think, just a nice way of saying, "Hey, I'm not going to attack you. I just want to heal." However, he could only cast that spell on his turn, so he had to survive a single turn, and this is where the craziness happened.
Oh, dude, you're gonna kill.
Dudes.
Oh, fuck. I'm dead. That's it. That's it. I'm dead.
So what happened was, it came round to SithLord's turn, and he had cracked Earth spell, which meant he could immediately cast it on a player during his turn, and unfortunately, that would put a flame token underneath them, and they would automatically lose a life at the end of their turn, which effectively killed Lord Zod. Now, if that just happened and I was allowed to happen, then that would have been the end of it. That would have been just 2 more players left. That would have been ToothlessNightFury and SithLord left. The Warlock and the Prophetess. It would have been a fun way to see the end, to be honest with you, but, you know, I'd had enough of the game, to be fair. I was already on the verge of crashing out several times because I was feeling so goddamn sorry for myself, as usual. Lord Zod's was just like, yeah, don't worry about it. In fact, we were both looking to quitting that game and watching it through to the end in the hopes that maybe one or both of the players decide to run for the end. That's how we like Talisman played. However, when Zod's was killed during that spell attack from SithLord, I disconnected.
Ooh! Ooh! Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to let this play out as it did before.
I disconnected. I didn't want to see the ending, which was inevitable. I was going to be watching the game live on stream from then on through the eyes of Lord Zod's, and then we would decide whether we wanted to move on into our Discord and maybe chat with and let the game play out. But we were going to record it for a good few minutes afterwards just to see whether the players were either are going to be trading blows and, you know, is it going to be an exciting game, I think, is basically what I was worried about. And boy, did it turn out to be that. Because when I disconnected, obviously, when you disconnect in a digital game and the turn or the round hasn't been completed, the round is automatically redone. Now, because all of the dice rolls and all the card pulls are predetermined, everything happens exactly the same way. But in this instance, there was no dice rolls and there was no card pulls. It was just SithLord recasting that spell and choosing the target of that spell. But here's where it gets crazy. SithLord decided that he wasn't going to cast it on Zod's after all. Lord Zod's. He was going to cast it on Toothless, bringing Toothless down to 1 life and keeping Lord Zod's in the game. Well, as you can imagine, I didn't see this at the time. You see that on live stream. I didn't know what was going on because I was black screening it. However, Toothless obviously took umbrage at that and immediately rage quit the game. Said that this was unfair and he should have chosen the same character that he chose before. And in fact, when he himself, Toothless, quit, it reset the round again, which allowed SithLord to re-choose again the spell and the target. So when this happened, and again, you'll see this on live stream, Lord Zod called for SithLord to cast it on him and bring this whole mess to an end. However, SithLord decided it was his choice, it was his right to choose the target. Toothless had already quit, so he was going to cast it on Toothless anyway, which was now the AI.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck? Dudes! Oh, shit.
George done that deliberately.
You... Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that was a crazy little thing.
Dude, you should not have done that. You should have killed me. You should have cast that spell on me and killed me. Do it now. Kill me now.
Do it.
Do it. George!
What's going on?
Shit, I don't know, dude. But he's not killing me. George, you chose to kill me. Glenn left the game at that point, and then you changed your mind and decided to kill Elliot, and now Elliot's left.
So that lit up the chat room quite a bit while people were talking about how unfair it was of SithLord to do what he done, and how it was justifiable that Toothless quit the game the way he did while we were live streaming a game, which is obviously you'll see from the footage. Both Zods and I was a little bit, I wouldn't say peeved. We were surprised and stunned at what just happened.
He chose to kill Elliot instead, and now Elliot's left the game as a result.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh, just seen that.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm not joking. It's all on the stream.
I'm now watching it. Oh my god, yeah, I've just seen it. Okay, cool. Anyway, so everybody, by the way, that was just a crazy situation there.
So we kept with the game, obviously, and you can watch the rest of the game, but ultimately we had a winner. Luckily, it wasn't the AI, and we are where we are. We had a chat about this in the chat with the Talisman Tavern goers at that point in time, and then both Zods, when we disconnected and brought the game to an end, we stopped the live stream. Both Lord Zods and I had a brief discussion behind the bar in the manager's room, and let's just say it was quite explosive because neither of us were particularly happy with what just happened. We were furious, I would say, to be honest with you, and we were only spent a few moments just talking about how we just like to see what the community were feeling, and we went straight to our Discord server to go to the bar area, and lo and behold, there was a whole bunch of you all ready and waiting to offer up your opinion of the absolute F-up of this game. So before we go any deeper into the etiquette which has been deeply embedded into the Talisman digital community, I would say it's quite a highly subjective set of ethics. Not everybody is going to do what you think they're supposed to do, but if you want to play regularly with a bunch of really, really cool people on the Talisman servers, on the Earth servers, or wherever you do, whichever server you do on the Talisman digital game, then you have to play it fair for the most part. Be a strong competitor, but also follow certain rules. Now, one of those rules are, because unfortunately the game does lack a bit of stability from time to time, and some players do get disconnected during games. Now, when people get disconnected, what tends to happen in those games are that the players who are already there, they either disconnect themselves. This has happened to me before. They all disconnect, they all regroup, and then they come back in so that no choices are taken out their hands by, say, AI players, which has happened and destroyed people's games before and forced them to permanently quit a game, leaving us all to fight a really powerful AI. I don't want to ever do that again. However, this was a particularly messy situation because it would appear on the surface, at least on the surface, that this golden rule of what happens when you disconnect in the Talisman digital circles was not adhered to by our player SithLord. However, I had a slightly different point of view on this, because my point of view here was, even though I wouldn't do personally what SithLord done, I would have followed through on my original thought process because I wouldn't want as much drama. But SithLord somewhere, and I haven't been able to talk to him. I've reached out to him. He's a very busy boy. I've just tried to get his personal point of view. If I do get it, I'm going to add it to this video. If I don't, then I guess we're never really going to know. Maybe he can hit us up in the comments section. But I wanted to understand a little bit about why he did what he did. Like I said, I personally probably would just carry through to lessen the potential for drama. But that's not what he did. And my thoughts, like I said, on this are no dice rolls were made and no card pulls were made. This whole golden rule of always repeating your exact same decisions that you made after a disconnect happens is mainly due to the fact that you don't get to see into the future to see what happens. Say, for example, if I rolled a 3 and moved left around or clockwise around the board, landed on a card which happened to do me damage or steal equipment or kill me, if someone disconnected, I could then choose, say, for example, to move anti-clockwise around the board and avoid that issue altogether for the same turn, like I had powers, like the powers of prophecy. So we all have this unwritten contract within our little group here, and also in the Euro servers and the Nomad servers playing this game, that if that happens, then we tend to play the same turn. Again, my problem, or the reason why I think that SithLord was well within his rights to do what he did, was because nothing had changed in the matrix of the game. All he decided was, at the last moment, to change his mind on who he directed that spell towards. That was it. That was it. And that was enough to make a lot of people very, very mad, including our player Toothless, who immediately quit. Which, by the way, none of us here at Talisman Tavern want to ever see that again. Not just through someone becoming upset on the game, because this game is upsetting, obviously, to some people. It can be very frustrating, especially when you get really bad dice rolls and bad card pulls. But if people were just to quit constantly based on their feelings, then we would hardly ever make it to an end of the game without at least 1 or 2 people quitting, because this game is intense. And when we play a game with each other, we kind of sign up to that. It sounds quite, or slightly hypocritical that I quit during the game, but I was already dead. We do have this extra rule that if you are hurting in the game and you feel like nothing is going your way and you just can't stand being in a situation, we do tend to ask that you sacrifice your character, say, i.e. kill it, in a fast manner as possible, so that we don't have to fight against an AI. That's what we ask. That doesn't always happen, but the good players, the clever players do that. And also sometimes when you go on this little spree of trying to delete yourself from the game, sometimes you get really good luck and you change your mind and go, oh, actually, things are not so bad. So you don't delete yourself. So what can we learn from all this? Well, I don't think SithLord was trying to personally upset anyone with his choice. I personally, and I think Lord Zods is maybe in a little bit of agreement with me, not totally, believe that The decision he made, really, all it done was just put one particular player's nose out of joint. That was it. Okay, that's how I saw it, because the choices that were made could not be changed, apart from who the spell was directed at. So I'm not going to accuse SithLord of doing anything bad here. Also, I'm not going to mock somebody who rage quit, because in the past, before we even started this channel, and when I was still learning and playing Talisman, I must have rage quit several times as well. However, that's not all. That was not always my way of being. I kind of learned doing that from other players who were rage quitting on me. So it was almost like I learned poor attitude for the game. I don't do that anymore, by the way. I make sure that my character is gone. And if I'm particularly upset, then I will not even bother watching the end of the game. I will just leave. I'll wish everybody a happy game, good luck, and move on with my life. So Talisman is an emotionally chaotic game. It's added, the chaos and the emotion is added to by sometimes poor use of interface on this game. We all understand it. It's getting better. It always is getting better. Nomad is working harder and harder on that. But without that undo button, and actually I kind of understand why there's no undo button there, people are still going to be making mistakes with their mouse misclicks and their keyboard strokes and getting themselves into all kind of random problems and rage quitting situations. There's going to be revenge plays. There's going to be targeting particular characters. There's going to be king making. And these games go on forever. 2 hours, mostly. And there's a lot of emotional and time investment in each game. Nothing is going to change that. Talisman is not chess. It's not a game of pure skill. But it does have skill. And it does have tactics. And you can mitigate both of them. And sometimes, when things are going wrong, the technically correct move that you play in Talisman still feels terrible when you're on the receiving end of it. And that's honestly why many of us love this game. Because we're not always on the receiving end. Sometimes we're dealing the pain and the misery ourselves. And this video hopefully is going to give you a little bit more of an insight if you haven't played the digital game, or if you do play the digital game even, and you just wanted to get involved in a little bit of Talisman drama. Talisman Tavern drama! Yeah, it's not something I'd like to do again very soon. So, can we fix this? Maybe. I think going forward, we've learned that maybe during our live streams, we'll probably have some clearer streaming rules for when players join us. We will ask for them not to leave the game, or if they're going to leave the game, at least say goodbye and maybe part on good terms, even though maybe they had a bad game. We will be handling disconnects differently. We'll ask players to please repeat their choices as close as they possibly can. Would be fair, I think, and stop some of this drama. And maybe we'd also look at maybe pausing the game after technical issues, which is something which I've seen happen quite a lot in the Talisman community. So I hope that this has been helpful to you, not scared you too much away from Talisman, the digital board game, the real board game, or even Talisman Tavern here. Both Lord Zods and I absolutely love this game and will continue to play nevertheless. At the end of the day, we are all here because we love Talisman. And sometimes that passion creates amazing moments, and sometimes incredibly awkward ones. But hopefully, we can all laugh about it eventually. Thanks for everybody who watched this video, who come to us on the live stream, who came to us in the Discord server afterwards into our bar, in the Talisman Tavern bar, and gave us your thoughts and opinions on there. I know I didn't agree with some of you. I can see where you're coming from. However, I'm not completely convinced. But that's fine. We can all have our opinions. And encourage comments and points of view from each other without huge amounts of drama. So, only leaves one last question. What would you have done if you were the SithLord? Would you have kept your original decision and X'd Lord Zod's out of the game to continue? Or would you have gone after a different target for a bit of chaos and drama? Tell us in the comments below. We'll see you next time.